So I'm in the middle of this project at the moment, which is coming out in my next video. And one of the design elements of this project is a 60mm long, 50mm diameter piece of dowel with a bevel on one end and a channel cut in it. And at the time of coming up with this wonderful design element, I had no idea how I'm going to cut it. So I was thinking I could use a dado stack. I could create a jig to run on the sliding table saw, pop it in, clamp it, run it through the dado stack, set to 20mm wide, 20mm deep. But I don't have a dado stack. And to buy one for my saw is going to cost me about £700. And I don't want to spend that. Who does want to spend that? So my options are I could hand cut, but I need 96 of them, so I'm not going to do that. I don't fancy spending 3 hours with a handsaw. 3 hours, who am I joking? More like 3 days. So I'm thinking I've got two options left. I could set up a jig on the bench to use a handheld router, or I could use the router table. And the router table seems like a perfect solution, nice and easy, but it's not that straightforward. So let me set the bit, which is a 20mm straight cut, to 20mm deep. Now, as you know, basic rule of thumb with a router bit is you never cut more than half its width as the depth. So that's 20mm wide, 20mm tall. That's going to chatter like crazy and split out and be absolutely horrible. So I'm going to have to take 2, maybe 3 passes at it to get the depth I want, even though it's soft wood. So that means I need to weigh to guarantee I can clamp it in exactly the same place every time, and also hold it, because I need this channel to be dead straight right across the center. So I need to make a jig. Now I'm lucky enough to have this Incra router table fence complete with the Wonder Fence. This is an attachment that goes on the front, and with that, if you buy the kit, you get this right angled fixture. Kind of acts like a sliding table right angled jig, and it slides along this front piece and bit at the back. It's got little guide there, so I could use this to support my block. But the issue that I've got, or my dowel rather, is the dowel's too low, so I need to raise it up. Okay, not a problem. But then if I just try and clamp like that, that's now nice and tight to the fence, and when I clamp it, it rolls away from the fence. So I'm gonna need a baseboard and a backboard probably, and a stop with a mark to make sure I get this lined up perfectly every time. So I've got a little bit of waste ply there, and I'm thinking if I made a right angle, then that raises my little dowel up, and if I cut this piece at the same height as the dowel, then I could have a pencil line there to make sure I've angled it or set it in exactly the right place, and then another piece there that would hold it, and then the only thing I need to worry about is clamping. So fiddling around in the drawer, I found this little beaut, which would be perfect if, again, I raise that up, and then that could clamp down on there. Sounds like a plan. So first off, that's too deep, that's too tall. So if I put a mark, so if I slice down the middle of here, this single piece should do both top and bottom. So that'll be perfect. I'll need to cut this one down a little bit to allow that to fit on. So that's got to be cut back to there. Little dab. Just to hold it, and then I can get a couple of screws in it. So next, I want to know how high I need to raise this. Quite high. So 3 pieces of ply, and then I can adjust that to keep a firm grip on it. So my little piece of dowel goes there. I'm unsure at the moment whether I need to put another piece there or not, given that the clamp will be clamping it down. So I think I'm going to screw the clamp in first and then see whether that moves when I clamp it. And like a fool, I've put a screw right there, so I'm going to have to move that. So there's my dowel. Really feels like that works back to front to me. I'll adjust this to get some good clamping. That feels good. 14mm and 9/16. A match made in heaven. Feels pretty solid. So I'm going to try it like that. So the last thing I need to do is to fix this to this. And I'm going to do that with a little bolt that will slip in there. Then I can tighten that back to that. And the last thing, make the mark on my jig, and then when I take a new one, I make a corresponding mark so that when I take it off to put it back on again, when I've raised the cutter, I can lock it into position knowing that it's exactly in the right place. Or at least that's the theory. So I think we're ready to make a test cut. So here it is, my little dowel routing jig, born out of necessity, being the need to cut that slot for this latest project, which, as I said, you'll see in the next video. For me, jig making is a process of trial and error. I rarely get it right first time, or as I'm going through making the jig, I find a barrier that I can't get past and I need to take another route. But that's part and parcel of the process of jig making. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you should relish it and look forward to it. It's great fun. Anyway, thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time. Ta-ra.